Hi, today I'm going to be talking about ZeroJoin, which is a privacy-oriented protocol for blockchains. First, a little bit about myself. So, I'm one of the core developers of the Ergo platform, and I'm associated with Ergo since its development phase. So, I'm mostly from a research background in cryptography, and one of my interests was privacy in financial transactions, which is where this work comes from. So this is joint work with Alex. He is one of the founders of Ergo. And regarding the protocol, as the name suggests, it's a combination of ZeroCoin and CoinJoin, which are also both privacy-oriented protocols for blockchains. So at a very abstract level, ZeroJoin can be thought of as a combination of the two. And after this talk, I hope that you will also be convinced of this. So before we move on, let me make it clear that this protocol works only in the UTXO model. So there are a lot of protocols that work only in the UTXO model, such as ZeroCoin and CoinJoin, both protocols on which our protocol is based on. And it won't work very easily for account-based systems such as Ethereum, right? Mm, and what do we mean by privacy? So privacy can be roughly defined as a kind of unlinkability. So in this diagram, suppose Alice is one of the senders of a message to Bob, and a lot of people are sending such messages. And there are different receivers, right? But for Alice, the receiver is Bob, right? And then when we look at the message that Bob received, probability that some outsider can guess that this was the sender was Alice should be less than 1 over 2 to the k for some security parameter k decided by Alice, right? So that is roughly what we would like to get from privacy. Um, Let me also quickly summarize what is the current state of the art and why we need a new protocol. So the four parameters that I'm going to be considering here are as shown. There are many parameters, but these are the major ones that are discussed when we consider efficiency and scalability. So one of the first things that we consider is whether the protocol requires a monotonic UTXO set. So this is a UTXO set is something that must be stored in memory for a full node to verify transactions, right? It is not the blockchain. Blockchain is stored on disk, not in memory, while UTXO set must be stored in memory. So if a protocol requires the UTXO set to increase monotonically, basically that means that it never goes down, the size always increases. Then this has scalability issues, right? And there are certain privacy protocols that actually require this property, which I'll get to very soon. So ZeroCoin is one of them, and Monero is also one of them. So Monero is also one of the very popular privacy protocol, but it has this issue of having a monotonic UTXO set. Additionally, I am also considering a very basic variant of Monero because Monero has evolved over the years. So the current version of Monero also uses range proofs and generic non-interactive zero knowledge proofs. So even the third column here would be yes in the latest version of Monero. So anyway, for this monotonic UTXO set, we have issue that it is not scalable because the memory requirements keep increasing as the blockchain grows, right? The second parameter that I'm going to consider is whether there is an interaction needed between the participants, right? So the only protocol that has this issue is CoinJoin, and the main reason CoinJoin is not that popular is because of this drawback, right? Otherwise, it's a very efficient protocol, and it provides decent privacy. The third parameter that I'm going to look at is whether the protocol needs generic non-interactive zero knowledge proofs slash range proofs. So range proofs are a type of generic NISZK anyways. So if the protocol needs these kind of proofs, then also this protocol is not good because it is this such proofs are very large and take a long time to verify also. So the size is kilobytes and the verification time is several milliseconds or more. Uh, Finally, we will also look at whether the protocol is susceptible to something called an eavesdropping attack. Yeah. So what this means is that if an attacker is listening to all the messages sent between the nodes, right? Not the blockchain, but as the nodes are talking to each other within the protocol. And if the attacker is able to listen to those messages, then he is able to break the privacy. Then this protocol is also not very useful, right? So certain protocols are vulnerable to this, and we want to have a protocol that is not susceptible to eavesdropping attack. So if we see, then Zero join is one of the protocols that has no in all of these columns. So it is one of the protocols that is highly practical in the privacy sector. And if I've missed any protocols, please let me know. So this is the current state of the art that I could gather, and let me know if any more need to be added here. Also, let me know if any other columns should be added in this analysis. Right. So moving on, let's get to the protocol systems, right? So one of the protocols that Zero Join is supposed to be based on is CoinJoin, right? So let me quickly discuss CoinJoin. CoinJoin is a protocol developed for Bitcoin, but it is a very generic protocol. It is basically just requires that the blockchain be UTXO based, right? So here I'm using ERG as the currency, which is the currency of the Ergo blockchain, and I will be using Ergo blockchain as the basis for all my examples henceforth. So here what happens is that each box, so here a box is like a UTXO, right? So I will also use the terms box and UTXO interchangeably, right? So this diagram shows that there are boxes of one ERG each, and this is a CoinJoin transaction. We see that the two inputs have this dotted line, which indicates that the owners of these inputs need to interact in an off-chain manner. And once they interact, they jointly form a transaction, and then together they broadcast the transaction to the blockchain. So the transaction that is broadcasted is this one, which contains two boxes, which are kind of indistinguishable in the sense that one of them belongs to the left owner and one of them belongs to the right owner, but not necessarily in the same order. And it is impossible for an outsider to decide which box belongs to whom. But one belongs to one of the input holders and the other belongs to the other. And this process is repeated multiple times so that the privacy is achieved to the desired level. Yeah. So each transaction kind of very informally gives you 50% privacy, right, or 50% unlinkability. So looking at this transaction, we can only guess 50% with a 50% chance whether Alice is the sender or not. Similarly, this process is repeated. So each time this process is repeated, we have to multiply that by 50%, right? So after two transactions, the probability of unlinkability becomes 25%, right, and so on. And this is the kind of the canonical variant of CoinJoin, which I'll be using. So only two at a time and multiple rounds. And now let's discuss what Zero Coin is based on. So Zero Coin is similar to CoinJoin in the sense that it also has one ERG boxes, so the boxes are of the same amount. And let's look at Zero Coin protocol from individual perspective, right? So let's look at this one transaction here. Yeah. So what happens is that somebody deposits one ERG to the Zero Coin pool. So this is a pool that we call the unspent pool, right, or the U pool. So somebody deposits one ERG box to the U pool, and many people do that, right? So let's say there are now 5 people who have deposited such boxes, right? And later on, say now I want to remove this box from the pool, right? When I spend the box, I have to remove it from the pool. That's the idea. But I'm not actually removing it per se. I'm just kind of emulating the removal, right? I'll get to that, what that means in a minute. So here, this is say the transaction that I am doing. Yeah. So basically, this is the removed box, and then once the box is removed, I'm going to spend it like a normal box, right? So the idea is that now the link between these two boxes has to be broken, right? So because the link has to be broken, I cannot directly reveal that I'm removing this box, right? I'm going to reveal that in an indirect way, right? So this box cannot be removed because the moment I remove it, I'm revealing that, right? So this box stays in the pool. And instead, when I do this transaction, what I'm doing is I'm going to give a zero knowledge proof that this is a valid box, right? This is one of the box that is in the pool without revealing which box, right? So this zero knowledge proofs kind of lets me prove that the box I'm removing exists in this pool, right? Without revealing which box it is, right? But then what will stop me from doing the same process again and again, right? I can keep spending this again and again, right? If there is no way to link these two. So this is linked is also kept in an indirect way, right? So instead of revealing the box itself, I reveal some other commitment of the box, right? Some sort of a serial number of the box. And this serial number is stored now in this S pool, right? So knowing the serial number does not reveal which of the boxes in the pool, right? Because the box itself contains the serial number in an encrypted manner, right? So there is no direct way to link the serial number to the box here. But what happens is that now the serial number is stored in this pool permanently. So next time I cannot follow the same procedure, right? That apply the zero knowledge proof and try to remove the box again, because then the serial number is already stored from a previous removal, right? So this will prevent double spending. So what this tells us now is that this pool must never remove boxes. So this is monotonically increasing pool. Similarly, now this pool is also monotonically increasing, because I should never remove the serial number, right? To allow checking in the future. So this causes basically the issue that I was discussing, right? That we have to have a monotonically increasing UTXO set in memory. So this is what that UTXO set is, right? These two pools. So how can we kind of solve this problem, right? The idea is that it doesn't really make sense to store everything indefinitely, right? So consider, for example, this. Yeah, suppose that everybody stops using zero coin. It loses interest, right? So after 5 boxes are deposited into the U pool, no more deposits happen, right, for a long time, and then people keep withdrawing, and then this eventually this top pool ends up having 5 boxes, right? Here, 5 serial numbers. So what this tells us that all boxes have been removed from the U pool, right? Even though we don't know which boxes which, all the boxes have been removed. So this allows us to kind of empty both the pools, right? So the logic is that once both the pools have the same number of elements, we can quickly empty them and then refresh it, right? So let us now think of a protocol that works like this, right? So we kind of stop at 5. We allow only 5 boxes in the U pool, and then we wait for the S pool to again have 5 boxes. And the moment it has 5 boxes, we purge both pools, right? And now you will say that, but I want higher privacy, right? I'm only getting 1 out of 5 here, while zero coin gives me a lot more, right? So then this process can be repeated, right? That's what I would suggest. So you do 5 at a time, then you do 5 at another time, and keep repeating it until you are sure that, until you have the desired level of privacy, right? So now the question is, why 5, right? Why not 6, or why not 4, or why not 20? Why pick only 5, right? So it can be any number, in fact, right? We can just choose any number that we want. But for the sake of simplicity and efficiency, we will choose the smallest possible number, right? Which is 2, right? So we'll do 2 at a time, and then we'll repeat the process. So it'll be kind of a zero coin variant, but both the U pool and S pool contain only 2 elements, and once both the pools have the same number of elements, they're emptied, right? That's the logic we are going to follow now. So using this, we can come up with a hypothetical protocol that I call 2coin for now, which is basically what I said earlier in a more diagrammatic form, right? So each of this stage, right? Let's look at these 4 boxes here. So this is one transaction where there are 2 inputs and 2 outputs, and this is one zero coin stage with 2 inputs, and this is the second stage, and this is the third stage. So you can keep doing as you want. And if some people may say, okay, I'm done, I'm just going to withdraw. So this person, for example, has withdrawn, right? But we don't know which of these 2 has been withdrawn, right? It could be either of them, right? So the dotted lines represent the first person spending. It could be any of them, and the full line represents the second person spending, which could also be the other one. And this is what we just hypothetically call it 2coin, right? Because it is 2 at a time. And so moving on, let me just zoom down into the 2coin primitive, right? 2 at a time, right? What happens when what happens at the fundamental level in a 2coin, right? So Alice adds the box to the 2 pool. I'm just going to call it the 2 pool, and Bob adds a box to the 2 pool, right? And at some point, one of them, right? We don't know which one. One of Alice or Bob decides to pick up his box or her box, and then the other box, right? Which could be A or B. And then using this, he or she spends it once to generate O1, which is the first spent. And later on, the other participant says, okay, fine, now I'm already logged with the other spender, let me also spend it on a need basis. So when the second participant needs, he will spend the other box, he will spend the both boxes the second time and generate another box, right? And one thing to note is that all the 4 boxes are part of the pool, right? So the boxes are spent from the pool and added back to the pool, right? So the transactions are pool to pool, right? That's one thing to note here. And the privacy comes from the fact that it is not possible to distinguish O0 and O1 in the sense that whether it belongs to A or B, right? That's the privacy here. So another protocol that is very similar to zero join is QuizQuiz, right? Which is also a privacy enhancing protocol for UTXO blockchains, and it is one of the protocols that actually does not have a monotonic UTXO set, right? So I'm going to discuss a very basic variant of QuizQuiz. QuizQuiz has many more enhancements from this basic variant, such as using range proofs, which won't need. So the basic variant of QuizQuiz is very similar to zero join, right? And it is also very similar to the two coin primitive, right? So in the two coin, what happens is that Alice and Bob both add box to the pool. So here also the same thing happens, but here I'm just gonna call it Q pool, right, for QuizQuiz instead of two pool. So Alice and Bob both add a box each to the Q pool, and then earlier both Alice or Bob spend it as and when needed, right? But here there is slight difference, right? What happens is that one of them spends the box together with the other, and he generates two boxes. So say Alice decides to spend both these boxes. So Alice will generate one box for herself and the other for Bob, yeah, at the same time. So we don't know which of O0 or O1 belongs to Alice, but the logic is that one of Alice or Bob will be able to spend O0 or O1, and the other will be able to spend the other box without revealing which one belongs to whom. And both boxes are distributed to outsiders. So the only difference from QuizQuiz and the only difference between QuizQuiz and two coin in this structure is that the boxes are created in two coin as and when needed, right? Not in advance. While in QuizQuiz, these two boxes are created in advance. These two boxes are created at the same time, even though the other spender doesn't need to use them immediately, right? That is the only difference. But it's a minor difference, and it doesn't really affect the overall theory behind the protocol, right? So now let's look at zero join, which is also very similar to the previous two structures, but with some small tweaks, right? So let me describe that, yeah. So the first part is very similar, right? Alice will add a box to the pool. So this kind of represents shows that it's a pool, right? And Alice has added a box to it. And Bob will spend Alice's box along with one of his own to generate two similar boxes, O0 and O1, right? Again in advance. So even though Alice doesn't need them, Alice's box will also be generated, right? And we don't know which belongs to whom, right? We know that one of them belongs to Alice and the other to Bob. And another thing, notice that neither of the any of the three boxes are part of the pool. Only Alice's box is part of the pool. The other three boxes are not part of the pool, right? That is another thing to note here. So what will happen is that suppose we want to reuse the protocol again, O0, for example, will have to be added to the pool again, right? So it will need one more extra transaction. But the other interesting thing to note here is that in the mixed transaction, right? In a mixed transaction, only one of the boxes is from the pool, the other box is not from the pool, right? So in that case, if a remix is done, only 50% of the times we will need to add to the pool. The other 50% of the time we can kind of take Bob's role and use it directly in a mixed transaction, right? So that is the basic idea of a zero join primitive. And I'll just quickly summarize the differences between the similarities and the differences between zero join and QuizQuiz, right? So the similarity is that both have the same structure of having four boxes where two inputs and two outputs of equal value, and outputs are such that it is not possible for an outsider to distinguish which belongs to A and which belongs to B, right? So that is the basic idea, and both protocols have a technique for allowing such thing to happen, right? So the protocols allow A to add a box to the pool and allow B to kind of spend A and generate two boxes in a manner that I just described, right? And the above, most of the time, above will work. The technique works assuming that Bob follows certain rules, right? So we call this honest but curious. So if Bob is honest but curious, then the protocol works properly. But if Bob is cheating, then the protocol breaks, right? The security breaks. For example, Bob may be able to generate two boxes such that they become unspendable by Alice, right? So Alice will end up losing funds, for example, right? So the rest of the protocol in both QuizQuiz and zero join is then based on designed to ensure that Bob cannot do this, right? So basically, what the protocol requires in both these approaches is that Bob must prove through a zero knowledge proof that he has created O0 and O1 correctly, and the differences lie in the way these zero knowledge proofs are constructed, right? So in QuizQuiz, they use generic non-interactive zero knowledge proofs, right? Which have the same issue that it is very large and very slow and not very practical, right? While zero join uses Sigma protocols, so which are very efficient, which are basically using modular exponentiation or exponential elliptic curve groups, and it only needs 8 exponentials to verify, right? So you'll see later. So this is kind of the summary of the two protocol and the similarities and the differences.